Hey, today I came to one of the strongest places of power I know. And the crazy thing is, this place is visible right here, on the physical level. From the outside, it looks simple. Stones, paths, forest, an ancient hill fort nearby. Nothing too dramatic. But if you know how to look, you start to see it differently. This is not just a walking area. This is a working system, a real energetic structure. Almost like an ancient machine, where a person can tune themselves through movement, breath, elements, stones, a labyrinth, and the center. My name is Orlov. I research places of power. I write books and teach practices connected with Russian runes, power crystals, and direct interaction with living space. For many years I've been working with places like this, not as a tourist, but directly, through the body, through movement, through the elements, stones, labyrinths, and the world tree. And today I'm not going to show you a theory. I'm going to show you a real living place that I've been working with for several years. We'll walk into its field together. We'll enter the structure. We'll move through the 7-turn labyrinth. We'll activate 7 levels of the human system. We'll tune the energy centers, recharge, gather power, and see how a real place of power interacts with a person. And don't click away in the middle, because at first we are only entering the field. Then we'll move through the labyrinth. But the most important part begins in the center, where the whole system comes together. Take a deep breath and exhale. Relax your body. You don't need to force yourself to feel anything. You don't need to tense up. Just watch calmly and attentively, as if you were walking right next to me. This video is not just a story. You can go through it as a kind of walking meditation. Even if you don't believe in any of this, just look at the place as an ancient architecture of movement. A person walks in circles, breathes, slows down, passes through levels, enters the center, and even that alone changes your state. Take one more calm breath and exhale. Let's go. Right now we are walking through the elemental altar. From the outside it may look simple. A path, grass, stones, a circle, a river nearby. But this is not just a walk. This is the entrance into the tree. And we don't rush straight to the central stone. A place of power does not work like that. You enter slowly, quietly, through the elements. I am walking along the large outer circle now. This is the elemental contour of the whole place, the first level of tuning. Here, the entrance begins with fire. Fire is impulse, awakening, the inner engine. It says, stand up, move, turn on. So feel a small spark inside. Take a calm breath and exhale. Then we move clockwise into air. Air is breath, space, clarity. It clears the noise from the head and makes attention lighter. And this matters before the labyrinth. Because with a rushed mind, the labyrinth is just a path. With attention, it starts working deeper. Then comes water. Water is flow, depth, cleansing. It washes away rush, tension, and extra thoughts. Real work often starts quietly. You simply become calmer. Your breath gets deeper. Something inside releases. Then comes earth. Earth anchors everything. Body, legs, weight, ground, reality. Without earth, spirituality turns into fantasy. So feel your legs. Feel the ground under your feet. Even through the screen, you can walk with me through attention. Fire turned us on. Air opened us. Water washed through us. Earth anchored us. Now the first circle is complete. We entered the rhythm of the place, and we can go deeper towards the 7-turn labyrinth. Take one more calm breath and exhale. Before we go deeper, a quick stop. If you want to understand what is really happening in places of power like this, get my book, The Secret Guide. The QR code is on the screen right now, and the link is in the description. It shows how to see not just stones and paths, but the map of a place of power. The entrance, the center, the elements, the altar, and the labyrinth. Download the book and let's go deeper. We begin with the third center. This is the yellow chakra, Manipura. And showing 3 fingers, which means we are moving through the third chakra now, the yellow level. This is the belly area, the center of willpower, action, personal strength and inner fire. But let's be clear, this is not about showing off, not about pressure, not about I'm going to crush everyone, and not about proving anything to anyone. The yellow center is about your inner backbone, that calm feeling of I am here, I can, I act, I hold my direction. And on this level, you can feel very quickly what state a person is really in. Are you gathered or scattered? Is there fire inside? Is there movement? Do you feel like you are steering your life? Or are you just floating wherever life carries you? Because for many people, the third center is either weak, blocked, or completely scattered. A person may understand everything, think a lot, even know exactly what needs to be done, but there is no action, no decision, no fire. They keep postponing, waiting for the right moment, waiting for permission, waiting until it gets easier. And while they wait, life just keeps moving past them. And here, the labyrinth begins to gently return a person to action. Not through pressure, not through force, not through tension, but through the step. You simply walk, calmly, steadily, turn after turn. And you keep your attention in the belly area. You don't need to imagine anything special. No bright streams of energy. No complicated pictures. Just feel your belly, the center of the body, the place where movement begins. Look at the space around you. Breathe and walk with me. The labyrinth does not work through effort. It works through movement, attention, and tuning. It's like tuning a guitar. If the strings are out of tune, you can play as much as you want. The sound will still be crooked. A person works the same way. If the body is separate, the head is somewhere else, the voice is tight, and the will is not turned on, there is no clear sound. A person may be living, doing things, moving through life, but inside nothing is gathered, no wholeness, no strength, no clear feeling of I am going. And the labyrinth begins to tune the strings, very gently. No jerk, no pressure. One step, one turn, another step. And slowly the third center starts to remember its natural state. This is the state of calm power. Not aggression, not fighting, not anger. Real power. The kind where you don't need to prove anything. You simply walk. You hold the path. You don't turn away from yourself. That is the healthy work of the third center. Not emotional explosions, not control, not tension, but steady inner movement. And while we are walking through this yellow level, you can ask yourself one simple question. Where is my power? Is it inside me, or do I keep giving it away? To people, to circumstances, to fear, to other people's opinions. Because the third center is often taken exactly like that. Someone tells you, you can't, and you shrink. Someone judges you, and you stop. You get afraid of making a mistake, and you don't even begin. But the yellow center says something else. Begin. Take the step. Not a perfect step, not a great heroic step, just a real one. And that is exactly what we are doing now. We are not talking about power. We are walking through it, with the feet, with the body, with the breath, with attention. Feel your belly, feel the inner fire, feel that calm, I can. And just keep walking. No rush, no noise, no need to squeeze anything out of yourself. The labyrinth is guiding, and we simply keep our attention. And now we are walking through the labyrinth. But there is one important thing here. If you look at this place through the eyes of a normal tourist, you will not see any labyrinth at all. On the physical level, there is a large circle around the place. There are 4 paths crossing in the center. There are stones, grass, openings, a beautiful space. And that's it. A normal person looks at it and says, yeah, okay, a circle, some paths, nice place for a walk. And that is exactly what tourists do. They walk along the paths, take pictures, look around, and they only see what the eyes can see. But that is the whole point. The labyrinth here is not drawn on the ground. It is not built out of stones. It has no walls, no borders, no signs saying, walk this way, spiritual growth starts here. On the physical level, this labyrinth does not exist. And it cannot exist, because the real labyrinth is on another level. You don't read it with the eyes. You read it with energy, with the subtle bodies. And right now, we are not just walking on a path. We are walking the way this place is meant to be walked, with the physical feet on the ground, and with the subtle bodies through the labyrinth itself. And this is where it gets interesting. Because most people do not see things like this at all. They do not see the borders of space. They do not feel where one level ends and another one begins. They do not notice where a simple path becomes an entrance, where the center is, where the knot is, where the place begins to work. For them, reality is only what you can touch, buy, eat, photograph, or put in the fridge. A stone is just a stone. A path is just a path. A circle is just a circle. And the subtle level basically does not exist. So they walk right past it, literally. A person can stand inside a very powerful system and think, cool place, nice design. And that's it. Because they are looking with the eyes, but they are not seeing with space. A labyrinth requires a different kind of perception. For a few minutes, you have to stop being a tourist. Stop scanning everything with the mind. Stop judging, beautiful, not beautiful, comfortable, not comfortable. And just start walking. So that's what we are doing now. Calmly, along the circle, through the passages, along the lines that are not marked on any normal map. And this is very similar to an elevator. But not a metal elevator. Not the kind with buttons in a shopping mall. This is an energetic elevator. You enter it through movement, through the step, through attention. And it begins to move you through levels, from lower to higher, from denser to subtler, from ordinary perception into something deeper. At the lowest level, a person sees only the ground under their feet. Then they begin to feel the body. Then the movement of energy appears. Then attention gathers. Then suddenly the head becomes quieter. And after that, The space begins to open in a completely different way. And that is no longer just a walk. That is a transition. This is why the labyrinth has always been connected with human evolution. Because a person is not the same on every level. Some people live mainly through the physical level. Eat, sleep, buy, get quick results. And that is not bad. It is simply a level of perception. Some people already feel the flows of life, money, exchange and movement. Some live through will, power and action. Some begin to feel people, space and energy. And some are already able to interact with the subtle levels, with the spirits of a place, with the world tree, with larger forces. This is what I mean by castes. Not in the sense of better or worse, but in the sense of what floor of reality a person lives on. And the same place is experienced very differently by different people. One person sees a path, another feels calm, a third feels a flow of energy, a fourth understands this is a passage between levels. Same place, different perception. And the labyrinth shows this very honestly. It does not argue with you. It does not explain itself. It does not try to prove anything. It simply leads. If a person can only see a path, they get a walk. If they can feel energy, they get tuning. If they can go deeper, the labyrinth begins to work like a staircase, like an elevator, like a passage between the floors of their own system. And this is how we are walking now. Not like tourists, not like people just strolling through a pretty place. We are walking through the invisible labyrinth. Yes, our feet are touching the ground, but our attention is going deeper. Our energy is going deeper. The subtle bodies are moving along lines that are not physically drawn here. And this is the magic of places like this. The strongest part is often invisible to the eyes. With the eyes you can see only the outer shell. The circle, the path, the stones, the center. But the real system is behind it. And to see it, you have to become a little more subtle yourself. Quieter, more attentive. Not smarter, not more complicated, just quieter. Because a rough, noisy person cannot really enter a subtle space. They may walk through it with their feet, but they do not enter it inside. Like a person walking around a temple, but never opening the door. And right now we are opening that door. With the step, with the breath, with attention. We are walking through a labyrinth that does not exist for the eyes, but it can be felt very clearly when you begin to walk correctly. And the farther we go, the closer the center becomes. Not only the center of this place, but your own center. The point where a person stops being just a body walking along a path and begins to remember that they are part of a much larger system, the system of the earth, the system of the world tree, the system of levels, castes, transitions, and power. That is what the labyrinth is for. Not to look pretty for tourists, but so the one who can see may go deeper. And that is exactly what we are doing now. I've known this place for about 5 years. And this is not one of those stories where I came here, looked at a few stones, scratched my beard, and instantly said, "Ah yes, obviously, the world tree." No, not at all. At first, I just saw a strangely organized space. There was a circle, there were paths, there were stones, and something in the center clearly felt intentional. Beautiful, quiet, but not clear yet. So I kept coming back, again and again. Sometimes in spring, sometimes in summer, sometimes closer to fall. In different weather, in different inner states, with different questions. Not as a tourist, but as someone trying to understand. What is this thing, and why does it work so strangely? The first few times I just walked. No big theory, no dramatic mystical conclusion. I simply watched how my body responded, where it became quieter inside, where heat appeared, where my attention dropped downward, where the energy started rising upward. And slowly, the first layer began to show itself. The elemental cross. 4 paths, 4 forces. Fire, air, water, earth. And the entrance here goes through fire. You can really feel it. When you enter, something inside clicks on. Not like lightning shooting out of your eyes. Not like Perun himself steps out with a drum and says, "Welcome, Rod." No, much calmer than that. You simply feel movement. An impulse wakes up inside. Stand up. Go. Do. Turn on. Then the space changes flavor. After fire comes air, and the head begins to release. Breathing becomes wider. The eyes feel freer. It's like walking out of a stuffy room and finally opening a window. Then comes water, and everything becomes softer there. The inner noise goes down. The tension begins to drain away. The state becomes deeper, quieter, calmer, as if the place gently washes off the city dust you did not even realize you were carrying. And earth brings everything back into the body, into the legs, into weight, into support. After earth, you no longer feel like the wind is throwing you around. You stand more solidly. You breathe more evenly. That was the beginning for me. I realized that an elemental structure was working here. Not a diagram from a book. Not some idea I made up in my head. A living structure, right inside the space. After that, my attention started pulling more and more toward the center. At first, the center looked like a normal crossing point. The lines meet there, so of course there is a middle. Some stones are lying in the center. Fine. But the more I worked with this place, the more I felt it. The center is not here just for decoration. The space there is denser, quieter, more gathered. You can run in there for a minute, stand around, and say, "So what?" Of course you can. That is what tourists usually do. They walk in, look around, take a picture, and move on. But if you first walk the circle, tune through the elements, and only then enter the center, it opens completely differently. Like the heart of the place. Like the point where all the lines come together. And that was when the altar stopped being just a nice stone in the middle for me. It became a point of gathering. A place where everything connects. Then the 3 stones around the center began to reveal themselves. At first, I did not overcomplicate it. 3 stones. Okay. Maybe the designer just liked it that way. Put 3 stones there. Looks nice. Good job. But this place is too precise for things like that to be random. Over time, it became clear. These 3 stones hold 3 worlds. Yav, Nav, Prav. In Slavic tradition, Yav is the middle world. the world where we walk with our physical feet. Nav is the lower world, depth, memory, roots. Prav is the upper world, meaning, vertical connection, higher forces. And that was when something really clicked for me. Before that, I mostly saw the horizontal level, the circle, the directions, the elements. But now the vertical opened. Down, up, and the human being in the middle. Not just walking on a path, standing on an axis between worlds. After that, the contour of 8 stones began to show itself. And then the whole picture became even more interesting. For me, those 8 stones are 8 centers of human power, 8 levels of tuning. So here, a person is not only walking across the ground, a person is moving through their own inner system, body, energy, will, heart, voice, vision, higher levels, and the center that gathers it all. And only after years did the whole picture finally come together. Not immediately, not in one visit. Not like, okay, let me quickly reveal the secret of the universe and then go home for tea. No, the place opened in layers. First the paths, then the elements, then the center, the altar, the 3 worlds, the 8 stones, the invisible labyrinth. And at some point it became obvious. This is not a bunch of separate details. This is one complete system. The world tree, manifested on the physical level. And the most interesting thing is that I did not invent this system first. I did not sit at home with a notebook and try to force reality into a beautiful concept. It was the opposite. I came here, I walked, I made mistakes, I checked again, I doubted, I came back, and little by little, the place itself showed me how it was built. That is the difference between a living place of power and just a beautiful location. A beautiful location, you see it, take a photo, post it in your stories, and forget about it. A living place stays with you. You leave, but it keeps turning inside. A week later, a realization comes. A month later, you notice a new detail. A year later, you come back and suddenly see something that was right in front of your face the whole time. But before, you simply could not see it. And now we are not walking a random route. We are walking through a system that this place revealed to me over several years. Not a theory, not a fantasy, not a pretty image. A living space where every path, every stone, and every turn is here for a reason. And the farther we go, the clearer one simple thing becomes. A normal person sees a place for a walk. But if you look deeper, this is an ancient working structure. The world tree. Let's talk about keys. Because right now I am walking through this place and saying things that may sound strange. The world tree, an invisible labyrinth, an altar, an elemental cross, 3 worlds, levels, castes, transitions. And someone may think, Rod, that sounds cool, but I only see stones, grass, and paths. And that is normal. A person can only see the layer they have a key for. No key, no door. No door, it's just a wall. Places of power work the same way. Without keys, this is just a circle with stones and paths. A nice place to walk, breathe, take a picture, and maybe fall asleep later while watching my video. And by the way, if you fall asleep during my videos, that's fine. Sleep well, just not while driving. Sometimes the mind is the biggest obstacle. It checks everything, doubts everything, argues with everything. But when the mind relaxes, the deeper layer can pass through more easily. A key is not some dramatic magical title. It is simply the ability to see the next layer. First you see a beautiful place. Then you feel that something is here. Then you notice the entrance, the center, the pattern, the reason the stones stand exactly where they stand. And one day it clicks, like someone turns on the light in a dark room. Suddenly the whole structure becomes visible. That is why the same place feels different to different people. One person sees a walk, another feels calm. Someone feels energy, warmth, goosebumps, and someone begins to receive answers. Same place, different keys, different reality. That is also why I do not give the exact location of this place. Not because I'm hiding it, because it is more powerful when you find it yourself. A ready-made point on Google Maps is boring. It is like using a cheat code in a game. But when you search, compare, feel, and finally recognize the place, that becomes your key. And one of those keys I am giving you right now. It is my book, The Secret Guide. You can download it using the QR code on the screen or through the link in the description. This is not a book about pretty places for weekend photos. It is a guide to reading places of power. How to look not only with your eyes, how to understand the entrance, the center, the axis, the altar. How to feel where a place is just beautiful and where it actually begins to work. Why does this matter now? Because the world is becoming very coarse. People see only the outside. What to buy, what to eat, where to go, what to post. And the subtle layer gets switched off. The book is not there so you believe me. It is there so you start checking for yourself, looking, feeling, finding your own keys. So try to find this place, but don't write the exact location in the comments. No coordinates, no names, no directions. Let others have their own little quest. Just write whether you found it or not. And if you went there, tell me what you felt, without exposing the place. Places of power are like mushrooms. You find one, look around. There is almost always something nearby. Another node, a hill, a river, an old sacred place, a strange stone. When you stop seeing separate points and start seeing the system, everything changes. You are no longer just visiting stones. You are entering a nap. Download the secret guide. QR code on the screen. Link in the description. Take this first key and see what door opens for you.